So we're gonna take a walk in the woods today, which is actually really lovely. It smells like fir, and that's one of my favorite aromas. I have a lot of favorite aromas, and the camera's it's gonna be way off, but just if you don't like what you're looking at, just turn the camera down. Like turn your phone, your face, your whatever, the laptop, the screen away from you and just listen like you would with a podcast. Um, I would like to say a few things to those of us who have been feeling a lot of emotional and spiritual turmoil. And I don't have any conclusions to what it all means, but just some thoughts on how to think about it and maybe share some things that have been helpful to me. So, just recently, I listened to a woman. I don't know if she's a psychiatrist or if she's a physics professional. And probably you have seen one of her videos out there. She had this viral video about pasta and the universe. And then there were many other videos copying that theme. But she recently talked about what happens in like how we respond to good experiences, experiences that would benefit us versus experiences that are detrimental to us. And maybe if I remember, I will link that video to this video. It's actually really hard to walk and talk. I'm hoping that you enjoy what you see as I work on this message here. But I was talking with several people this week, and what people have been struggling with, which is a sense of stalling out, and other emotions that jam us up in the face of new experiences, which are not actually threatening in and of themselves. And so this woman was explaining that our brain, of course, likes safety. So our brain, our mind, will do what it can to maintain what's familiar to us, even if what's familiar to us is not in our best interest. So that can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And for now, I'll just leave it up to you to figure out what that might look like when you are presented with a relationship, an opportunity, a perspective on life, et cetera, that would actually benefit you, that would lift you up. But something in you, and it's not necessarily obvious or conscious, but something in you is resistant to it because it isn't familiar. And because it's not familiar, it's not trustworthy. And the work is to develop trust with that new opportunity, that new relationship, the new invitation to think a different way, to experience different things, to be different. So, the tie in for what I'd like to talk about is that we are in a season of evolution. Our banking system, for instance, is being upgraded right now. If you pay attention to the workings of government, this morning, I believe it was the Senate House of Representatives got together and voted on the Clarity Act and the structure of that bill. That bill is meant to define how there is an absolutely enormous, I think it's called a banana slug on the ground right now. And I wish I could turn my phone around and show you, but I cannot. And most of you would probably be grossed out by it anyway, but that's amazing. So many people in all kinds of industries have been waiting to see if this set of laws about how banking will evolve into digital currency. And there's all sorts of arguments for and against. And all I want to tell you is the government in the USA has finally come to a tentative agreement to move that set of legislation forward. It's not finalized, and several, I believe they were senators, several people spoke up, making it clear that this was not their final vote, that they expected to continue negotiations on behalf of a variety of different interests. So, my point, our systems are changing. Our world is changing. The way that we understand ourselves is changing. And it's terrifying. I think probably at this point, just about everything that we were used to and familiar with, the way that schools worked, the way that neighborhoods worked, the way that healthcare worked, the way that the entertainment industry worked, everything has been disrupted. And a lot of people are feeling the impacts of that directly. I'm sorry, guys, I'm breathing pretty heavily. Because I'm out of shape. So please forgive me. Okay, so what do we do when we feel threatened by change? By change. Well, we tend to hold on to things that are familiar. And if those things can't be held on to, jobs, relationships, where the locations that we live in, we might get a little stuck if we don't just go with the forward or the different direction movement. Oh my gosh. So I am just absolutely in love with this area. I'm not in a tropical zone right now. Always thought of myself as a tropical zone baby, and I continue to. But these trees are just so incredibly wonderful. Yeah, so I'm speaking from experience. My life went sideways a few years back, and I have not been one to make, like, I'm trying to think of the right words, or words that will help you understand. I haven't been one to like map out every single step of my steps. But when I made a move, like a literal move to a different part of the country some years ago, I had a certain set of expectations because I had set myself up in a particular way with some safety nets. But life for all of us was doing a deep dive into some other mystery, and I was not prepared. And it seems that I went through some experiences that more people are going to be experiencing coming up here. So, loss of geographical location, perhaps loss of home, loss of job, loss of work, loss of sense of meaning, self-direction, loss of titles and social settings. I've written about this and I've spoken about this in some of the other posts and podcasts. And I'm seeing more and more people out in the population just experiencing loss, like loss on levels that we really work hard to prevent. And it centers around identity, our self-identity, our national identity, our communal identities with our neighbors, our friends, our families, etc. And I do believe that this is part of the evolution that we are being asked to cooperate with. So I'm just going to stand in front of this tree. My phone is also not the best on colors, but this tree has this bark that is so beautiful. The color, I'm telling you, it's so quiet here. I love it. And the ground is firm but soft. Okay. So I have encouraged people to use your tools. So many of us have practices, prayer practices, rosary beads, meditation, running, kayaking, your summer practices, gardening, which a lot of people are doing gardening because that's kind of necessary. You got to keep up with it. A relationship with an animal that keeps you steady and in a practice of some kind, a writing practice, a dream practice. We need to stay anchored to our practices right now. And if you need to update or upgrade your practices, do that. Okay, guys. This space is really quiet, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I'm going to post it because I am working on just getting my face and some encouragement out there to people. But I'll work on something different for you at another time. Okay. Let me just sit down for a minute. Let me just have a seat here on this wet bench because it rains. Okay, so listen. Hold on. Okay, I'm just not even trying to make anything clean and edited. So when pine cones drop, it is a thud. Everything, anyway. There is no going back. And if you are fighting it, you are going to lose. You're going to lose. That does not mean that you have to get on board with the technology changes. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with what you're seeing out there in terms of leadership, whether it's entertainment leadership, religious leadership, spiritual leadership, education, politics, whatever you're seeing that you disagree with, it doesn't mean you have to go along with it or turn your face from it if you feel compelled to serve in some way. What we must do now is evolve. We must grow up. We must grow. And I don't know what that means for you. Having a channel, we're supposed to pick a demographic. We're supposed to pick a niche. My life, we have discovered some niches for me, but it is still broad. I tend to speak to people who are very committed or very drawn and willing to do the work of living outside of the parameters of what's normalized. Just people whose minds work in different ways. And complexity is something we tend to be willing to work with, even if we're not always comfortable with it. So I don't always know who I'm speaking to, because who I'm speaking to, it's an internal niche rather than an external looking, like I can look at someone and tell that they're that person. I don't know what your story is, and I'm going to do my best to share my experiences and share what I've been learning and share some of the tools that we've had available to us for generations and generations, because I'm very much interested in, I'll just call them old world tools for now. We cannot allow ourselves to get stuck. We can disagree with what's happening, and then we need to take action. We need to find ways to take action. And taking action doesn't mean for everyone that we're going to be out there protesting or whatever the external things are. Those are great and they're necessary, but not everybody's built to operate in that way. Your way of taking action might be to follow up on the creative vision or the creative inspiration that you've been having, whatever that might be. Your way of taking action might be to get out of your house and take a walk around your neighborhood and meet somebody, say hello. Maybe you've been thinking about putting some flowers in your front yard for the last few years and you've just been putting it off for whatever reason. You are going to have to learn how to tune in to what spirit is telling you to do from the inside out. I will do my best to like put the call out there, and you don't have to respond to me. I am just a representative of spirit speaking, just like all of the other people who inspire you. You know, that's what we're doing. We're breathing life into one another. So I am not going to do it in an orderly way in the beginning because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm saying, because my life fell apart a few years ago and I am pulling my pieces back together and I don't quite know how everything fits. I know there's others of you out there who've come out of that experience, are in it, and you're in a similar putting yourself back together place. And there are others of you who are in this experience of disintegration, dismemberment, and I'm letting you know there's actual light on the other side. I didn't believe it for a really long time, and I'm talking about for a couple of years, and that was after the few years of being in the mess. So it's been a long time, guys, but there is light, and we are moving towards another. Life is asking us to evolve, and that's where I'm going to end it. Life is asking us to evolve. I'm going to end the video. Okay. um, and there's going to be so many ways to do that. Right now, I'm just calling you to action. I'm letting you know that there is a place for us who haven't agreed with the way that things have been going down on this rock for a while. Okay? So go out and enjoy your beautiful wherever you live. Um, and if you don't feel that you're in a place that inspires you, be someone who can inspire other people in your area until you can figure out how to be inspired, how to put yourself in a place that feeds you and nourishes you. That's also what I mean by inspiration. So, all right, bye.